Yahweh is looking for key individuals to walk with Him significantly in these last days. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 1, the Torah portion, Noach. Let's go to the beginning of this Torah portion, Bereshit chapter 6, Genesis chapter 6, verse number 8. And it says, "But Noach found favor in the eyes of Yahweh." And then notice what takes place in the following verse, verse 9. This is the genealogy of Noach. Noach was a Sadiq, a righteous man, perfect in his generations. Noach walked with Elohim. Notice here with me that the name Noach is used 3 times in this verse. Now, it could have simply said, this is the generation of Noach. He was a righteous man. And then the last verse could have been with a comma saying, he walked with Elohim. If Noach had already been mentioned, this is genealogy, the Toldot Noach, then the descriptives that follow, if it had used simply the masculine pronoun he, we would have known who was being spoken of. There's a principle in Torah study that we need to keep in mind. Nothing is redundant. If it seems to be repetitive or redundant, it is by design, intentionally, to teach us something. The Torah is perfectly written. The other principle that is similar to this is nothing is missing. There are great amounts of information that we would like to know. Perhaps the names of the wives. What was Noah's wife's name? Well, it was Mrs. Noah, right? What happened at certain events, or why did certain things take place? And it seems like there's missing information. Nothing is missing. Nothing is redundant. And so, as it is perfectly written, those things that we search for or we scratch our head about, they're there intentionally to cause you not to stretch, to grow, to learn, and to investigate. Now, that being said, let's go to the name Noah. It says over in chapter number 5, verse 28 and verse 29. Let's go back there. And Lamech lived 182 years and brought forth a son, and he called his name Noach, saying, "This one does comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which Yahweh has cursed." There's some information here. This is at the tail end of last week's Torah portion, but it applies to us today in this one. We're being told, number 1, that the effect of the curse that was placed on the ground. Remember when the Nahash, the serpent, tempted Chava, Eve, and she and Adam fell into sin, that when Yah was rectifying and judging that situation, he did not curse Adam directly, but rather he said, "The ground is cursed for your sakes." So the labor intensity evidently was great in their day. And the effect, the immediacy of the effect of that curse was very, very prominent. And so Lamech is lamenting over the effect of the curse, and he says, "My son, my firstborn son here, I will name him Noach, because he's going to bring comfort about this situation." Now, the name Noach does give us the idea of comfort. Comfort in Hebrew is nachamah. It is here Yi Nachaminu. His name is spelled with a nun and a chet. Now, why is that significant? Nun chet is Noach. Chet nun, the name reversed, inverted, is ken, or grace, or one could translate it comfort, ease, help, aid, and strength. Now, it's an interesting thing that when you and I view an object, the way the pupil and the eye sees it, it's inverted. But there is a correction mechanism in the brain that rights it and causes it to be correct. So what the eye sees is not necessarily what we understand and perceive, but rather there's a correction mechanism, a reflection. If we understand this, then it's a principle that gives us the idea that what Yah sees is correct. And the comfort that he wants to offer is inverted and given to us in the vehicle or the format of his grace. What this also tells us is that grace is not a quote-unquote New Testament commodity. Grace did not show up simply because Messiah showed up. It's not to say that Messiah does not offer us grace. I didn't say that. He does. But the grace that he offers was pre-existent grace. There is some error teaching, some aberrant teaching, I guess you could say, that would suggest that there is no grace to be found in the Old Testament, in the Torah, in the Tanakh. There is. We see it here in the form of Noach. Now, how did he offer this to us in this man's life? The same way that it is available to our current world through us. We are living in as turbulent a time as Noach was. Matter of fact, Yeshua told us that the coming of the Son of Man will be as it was in the days of Noah. Eating, drinking, and giving in marriage. That his life seems to be continuing on in spite of the virus, in spite of the lockdowns and the restrictions. People are still finding ways to get around all of that and have their ceremonies. It may be limited in number, but my daughter was just a part of a wedding last week. So they do take place. Things are still functioning. We're still finding ways to do what it is that we do. In that time frame, in that understanding of life, Yah is still looking upon man similarly to what he looked on and evaluated in Noach's day. It says that the thoughts of man were only evil continually. That is, that man had come to a place where he was incapable of righteous thinking. I dare say that we have some of those among us in our day. What difference did Noach make? It's not the ark that he built per se. It's told to us in verse number 9. 3 things, his name is mentioned 3 times, and there are 3 significant elements to this man that you and I need to adopt and develop within ourselves. Number 1, it says that he was a Sadiq, a righteous man. That is, that you and I need to choose righteousness over unrighteousness. Well, we do that because we're born again, right? Not necessarily. The prophet Ezekiel says that a man that walks righteously and then turns and does unrighteousness, his righteousness will not be remembered, but that which he has turned and done unrighteously. The reverse is also true. An unrighteous man who becomes righteous and turns and walks righteously, it's his righteous walk that will be remembered, not his unrighteous walk previously. You and I are as righteous as we choose to walk, as we choose to speak, as we choose to act. It's not what we have done and been in the past. It's who we are right here, right now, and how we walk that out and demonstrate it to those that are around us. Secondly, not only was Noach a righteous man, but it also says that he was tamim, he was perfect, he was whole. He found wholeness and completeness. He was not a man that was fractured into many parts, some good, some bad. He chose to be whole and complete before Yah. And then it says that he walked with Elohim. He had his halakha, his manner of life and living with him. If we no longer have a denominational handbook or a pastor in the pulpit telling us what our halakha is, where do we get that from? Maybe we'll talk more about that tomorrow. And until then, shalom.